So I've got this very cool 1936 Ford dump truck to letter on the side of the door. Interacted with the client to find out what he wanted to do, and he wants to have his brewery company logo name on the door. So I did a digital sketch for him, and we worked back and forth until we got what he wanted. And then but he also wanted it to be weathered, like it was aged over a long period of time, almost like it was lettered back in the 30s. So I did a few samples for him to kind of get an idea of what degree weathering that he would like to see on there. And so I did this little sample board, this sample panel, and this one here would be, as you know, it was maybe a few years, like 10, 20 years, and this is more like probably 30, 40, maybe 50 years, and so on. So you like the one in the middle, kind of matches the kind of patina of the truck now, some of the fender work, things like that. So anyway, I just want to go through the process of how I'm going to letter this truck. Let's go have fun. In 1936, they would have laid out and lettered right on the truck. In 2017, we can make clean digital patterns. Perforating holes into the paper so that the charcoal can be transferred through the holes right onto the door. Next, give the door an isopropyl bath. Should be fine, because it's one of the most benign things. Gets it really nice and clean, doesn't leave a residue. But I always check and make sure on the inside of a door before I do the outside, just in case. And we're looking pretty good. Yeah, like I said, isopropyl is pretty benign. But if any blue came off on that white cloth, I would go definitely another direction. So let's try another spot out here. Looking pretty good. Okay. So just going to gently bathe this thing, just so to make sure that that one shot sticks. Doesn't fall off. Not too bad. There's some dirt on there though. Round two. Almost clean. Round three. Good to go. Now it's time to put the pattern on. And I use these little magnets. They're very powerful little magnets. But don't store the magnets on the truck itself. Make sure there's a paper barrier between the magnet and the truck. Then we just go ahead and we lay it out, position it, and I got 3 3/4, and we got it's about almost 6 inches there. And we'll raise it up a little bit. I like a little gap under there. Always have more space on the bottom than the top. It's more visually pleasing. I'm going to use this line right here as my guideline. So I'm going to determine that that's going to be, I'm going to go 12 3/4 off of this. That's 12 3/4. On goes the magnet right there. And 12 3/4 right there. repeat that on the other side. Stand back and look at it, make sure that's going to look okay. Yeah, I'm liking that. That's it's going to be well balanced. We'll just take our Pounce box, sock, whatever you got, white Pounce, dark blue. So we'll just go ahead and we transfer that powder right on through. What's the point in cleaning the door if you're going to put a bunch of dust all over it? Well, special dust. Pounce it real good. Pounce and pounce. And give it a rub. Putting these on the Forerunner step up. Voila. Oh, right in the crack right there. Looks like I'm going to be covering that. Blow it off a little bit. And you can see the chalk transferred. Got a nice big injury right there. Some of the will cover that and come right to the point. Do the same thing on the other side. We start mixing our paint. So the equipment and supplies are going to include about a half and half, or maybe a little more on the white light side of ivory for the actual pigment itself. Yeah, maybe a little more. Yeah, a little more ivory. More like 40-60 ivory. Yeah, in that neighborhood. So more like about 60% white, 40% ivory. Just kind of give it a little bit of a dusty look. Then in order to get the transparent, I'm going to use the Clear 4003 one-shot transparent. To get it to the point where we've chosen. Probably one more, I think, if I remember right. I did that sample panel a little while ago. And we're also going to use a little bit of 6000 one-shot reducer, so the paint will flow nicely. And we'll see where we're at on our sample panel. For the brush, I'll be using a number 8 Steve Kafka lettering Kwill. As I look at the what I want there to be is a double stroke, so one stroke on this side and one stroke on that side. The goal of this is to be able to see the brush strokes. So let's just see where we're at with this. in relationship to the sample. Try to get it to the point where we're actually going to, as if we were going to actually letter, so we'll be accurate. So it looks like we need to reduce a little bit more to get us to this point. So let's add a little bit more of the transparent. See how that looks. Take baby steps. And we got plenty of paint, about a half a cup full, which is more than enough to letter both sides of the door. And maybe just a tad bit more reducer, not too much. We don't want this thing running down the side of the door and dripping all over the place. We just want it thin but rich and usable. So that's dripping pretty good. It's dripping but not super flow. And it's going to go on thin, so and I'm going to go ahead and wipe out the brush. Load up another shot of this. Always keeping in mind not to jam the brush down in the bottom of the cup. These brushes have very teeny fine little hairs on the ends of them that will bend if they get jammed. We're almost there. We just need to go a little further. A little bit more transparency, a little more aging. This time I'm going to clean my brush out. For optimum accuracy. That in there, scrape like I was going to letter. See how this looks. Oh yeah, voila, we're there. Cool. Okay, so now we have this where we want it, and I've actually have too much paint, so I'm going to transfer some of this into another cup. So I don't have such a big load of paint inside of the cup to hold on to while I'm lettering. Last but not least, we're going to take just a little bit of the Pounce powder and sprinkle it in there just a little bit to flatten the enamel and to flatten the clear coat so it's not shiny. This has a little flat edge to it. And that will also happen in time as well. The plan for this vehicle is to be an advertisement at events. So the sun is going to be beaten on this and will oxidize the paint naturally too, which is just going to enhance the look we're looking for. Alright, we're ready to letter. One more mention for the scroll work at the bottom of the copy, we'll be using a number 3 Steve Kafka scrolling pinstriping brush. I have a chair with a hydraulic on it so I can lower myself, be comfortable. That's very important when you're doing this stuff, to be comfortable. And these straight letters, the beauty about this brush is you can jam them right in the corner and it'll make a nice clean edge at the top. Be careful where I'm putting my maul stick. See those brush strokes. Spin, spin. See this person's every brush stroke. This is going to be about not too much paint and let it skip a little bit. Now we're going to make our drop shadow with using dark blue, one shot. It's already got kind of a muted look to it. And that's kind of what I was heading for, was a dark blue to black, muted color. So this is going to be one of those drop shadows that are off away from the brush, off away from the letter, like a quickie, like when you're in a hurry kind of thing. When you're doing a truck, you got to get them done so that the paint, the lettering and the shadow don't even touch. You just come in and like that. Let's see what that looks like in the sun. Oh yeah, that's going to be great. And just keep skipping the brush as you go. Doing the same technique as we did with the lettering. Now that the paint has had a chance to tack up a bit, quite a bit actually, let's go ahead and see if we can antique it a little bit more. Got kind of a rough terry cloth. Just kind of come in here and abrase it a little bit more. Just kind of give it that little antique-y look. I mean, it's pretty darn close to dry at this point. Like, it's been sitting here for about, oh, I don't know, maybe an hour, a little more than an hour. You can just sit here and just kind of get in there where the letter is, and just kind of antique it up a little bit. Take down some of the paint. Key to this, like anything else, is knowing when to stop.